There we go. This is Jason WPwatercooler, episode number 111. We're going to go around the room.
Wait. I thought I was the host.
Oh,
that was last week.
That was
Memories.
Today we're going to be talking about the latest WordPress design trends, and we're going to go around the room here and get everyone introduced. We went off at a quarter, so let's start with Chris.
Oh, hey, sorry, I was turning my volume up. I'm Chris Ford. I'm slow on the volume key. I am the creative director at Creativity Included, and I have a lot of ranty goodness about design trends lined up for today.
I love ranty goodness. It's my favorite.
Robert, what about you, my friend?
My name is Robert Ninehouse. I'm creative director at Nine Studios Design and Creative, and we design websites to be built on WordPress.
Very cool. Say, what about you?
It's like, who am I and stuff? Well, I'm Say Reed, and I do WordPressy things. Teach WordPress, live WordPress, use WordPress, love WordPress. At Say Reed Media on all the things.
It's so zen with the candle in the background. I like that.
I know. I'm really trying to like build something.
Steve, since you're the
I'm working on it.
Steve, since you're the resident unicorn, tell us about yourself.
I'm Steve Zehngut. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup. And tonight is the Dev Night at our office in Huntington Beach.
Yep.
AKA the hard drinkers.
How about you, Suzette?
Hello, everybody. I'm Suzette. I'm a front-end developer at WebDev Studios, and I'm going to the meetup tonight, and it's going to be fun.
I will not be at the meetup tonight.
Oh, bummer. We'll all be there. I'm bringing Andy Christian with me.
The Clippers are playing the Spurs, and I can't miss that.
I understand.
Hey, I'm not going to be there either, but not because of sports ball.
Why? Why then?
Tracy, what about you?
Because Tracy.
Wait, guys.
Tracy. I co-own YSync, web design development company in Philadelphia.
Yikes!
Wait, you think?
A lot of websites.
Wait, you think you own it? Do you think you own it?
No, she said Yikes Inc., not I think.
I
heard that too. I heard the same thing.
I think I co-own it. I'm like, okay. Transition time.
I'm Jason Tucker. You can
Yikes
find me
Inc.
Jason Tucker on Twitter and wpmedia.pro.
Oh yeah, Jason. We forgot about you. I'm sorry.
So let's talk a little bit about design trends in WordPress. What are the latest? I know that Say really likes the parallax. So is that the thing right now?
Look, let's not even joke about it, okay? I think parallax is the freaking scum of the earth. That's how I feel about it.
It's so easy to say that, though, because the problem with parallax is people who don't use it for the right reasons.
Right.
But there's no way you can go to that dangersofracking.com site and tell me that that's a shitty website because it uses parallax, because they've used it in a really appropriate way for the message they're trying to put out.
Did you just say the fracking site?
Dangersofracking.com.
Okay,
yeah.
you are completely right. That site is amazing.
That's
the thing. It's not about
the technique. It has more to do with people using it badly.
Yeah, it's not about parallax being bad. You just said that. You just literally said exactly what I was gonna say. But
yeah, I like if it's used like in like good storytelling. Like I think parallax is like a good solution for it, but totally companies are just jumping on board with it and using it incorrectly.
Including every hosting company that ever existed is suddenly in these block of squares, and I want to cry.
I'm hearing echo.
Yeah, same here.
Is it just me? All right, this is a good water cooler so far.
Yeah. Is somebody playing our video on the video? That's what's happening.
Somebody has a window open.
Somebody's open, and it's not me.
Check your windows. Check your windows.
But anyway, let's talk more about design and how much I hate parallax. Oh, yay!
So, okay. The comment was people are using parallax just for the sake of using parallax, not for any real reason. Same reason people used to use Flash, right? Flash, you could have said the same thing. Flash was all over the place for years, and it was used just for the purpose, just to have Flash on your website, right?
True. Yeah.
You can see that about any design trend. That's just a comment. That's not a question. And now everybody's muted, so it's just me.
I muted everyone just for a minute, so if you need to talk, just unmute yourself, and then mute yourself again once you're done.
Well, I know the echo's not me, so.
Yeah. Say, what do you have to add?
Here's the thing: is that design in general is great. You know, design for design purposes and art, whatever. But when you're talking about web, you have to talk about UI as the main component of design. So it's not the trend to just do the design technique like what Chris was saying is the problem, because it's not considering the information and how it should best be presented. It is about, you know, just I want a parallax site. I want it to move like this. And that's the same thing with sliders, which, you know, we all also feel equally are distasteful in some states or some statuses.
Yeah, some states like Minnesota, they hate
states. Some instances. I found the word, instances.
Thank you.
Really, it's about people not thinking about what information they're presenting. So it's being presented in a totally incorrect fashion.
I was actually having a talk with someone on Twitter about this exact topic the other day and kind of brought up that same dangers of fracking site again. And I'm not a big fan of like following design trends. I've even written blog posts about how I think trends are kind of a lazy designer's way of designing a website. It's got a lot more to do with decorating a site than actually designing it. And that what I really wish in 2015 the big design trend would be purposeful design. That the answer to everything is always, well, it depends. You know, does it have a purpose? Then let's do that thing. But we get so caught up in like these 5 buzzwords for the year, and then, you know, it's a shorthand way of not having to think about the design problem and just pick a theme and throw some content in it and ship a site.
I mean, that's really what trend is
just
anyway,
go to. Yeah,
I mean, it's just like our clients
hopping on the trend and doing
machines of fashion.
Our clients, like,
that's the greatest thing I've ever said.
Overalls are back
driven by trends, though.
Friggin' wearing them. Sorry,
our clients are often driven by trends, but they're following a couple trends behind, and people really don't want a site that's designed just for them, like not thinking of, you know, all the other what's in right now in design. And it's really hard because it's like, do you have the client listen to you with your expertise, or you just give them what they want, you know? And because at the end of the day, they're paying you to make a website. So
that's going to be
the answer to that question is always do what is right, not what they're paying you to do. In my view,
that's going to be client specific, because some clients come to you and they say, you know, we want you, we're hiring you for your expertise, and some clients say that, and then and what they really mean is we want you to execute what we're saying.
Right, it's always that way too. They say, it's like, well, you're the expert. You tell me, and then I do tell you, and they're like, no, we want it this other way. So.
But that's always going to be a forever thing. That's never going to change.
Par for the course.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with. Yeah, that's like just ignorance.
I think some of the things that we're talking about here are budget driven, right? So if we're talking about trends, we're talking about, you know, what we're talking about is custom built websites. You know, if talking about low budget WordPress websites, people are just picking a theme, and when they're looking at theme, they're looking at trends in themes. So all those low budget sites start to look the same, depending on what the trends are in theme design.
You know what the trend is in theme design right now?
What's that?
Makes me want to punch Theme Forest in the face. Is Visual Composer. They're like, look at all the pages you can make. We're not going to make them for you, but you can go ahead and make them. Design whatever you want.
That's a really bad idea.
It's literally like the opposite of the entire point of a theme. Literally the entire point of a theme is to have a pre-created design and have page templates that you can use, not to sit there and build your own. And that is a design trend in WordPress specifically, external third-party WordPress themes.
Tools like Composer and Headway and those kinds of things in the hands of a non-designer are a really bad idea.
And they're also really hard to use, and so you end up, it's like worse than freaking GoDaddy Builder. Like, you end up with like this, just, they don't know what they're, so they get frustrated because of the technical level, and then they also get frustrated because they can't move the box to the left or whatever, and then it's like all of WordPress's simplicity and all of its entire purpose just goes crumbling into the ground. And I actually think that that's kind of hurting WordPress's ability to continue to grow, because all of these themes kind of force their shitty design, aesthetic and laziness onto them.
Yeah, but that's another budget thing. That's people wanting to avoid not seeing the value in design. So they don't even know how shitty the site they're building is with those tools. They want that freedom because you get people who sell, and I'm not going to call someone out, but a page builder who's like, hey, we built a $300,000 website in an hour with a $30 plugin. And people buy that high.
Name and shame. Name and shame.
Wait.
Name and
I
shame.
can take off that many zeros?
Probably have that.
I went
Steve is doing that.
You know, we sell people on this idea that WordPress is cheap and it's easy, and by the way, here's a design tool that lets you do whatever you want. And what we don't tell them is what you don't have is the 18 years of making good design decisions that needs to go with that tool.
This is an age-old problem,
yeah,
right?
totally.
A robot can never do a front-end designer's job. You're never going to get a WYSIWYG editor or some sort of like magical drag and drop that's going to make something beautiful and exactly what you want.
25 years ago, we say owning Quark does not make you a designer, right? That's where the term desktop publisher came from. Do you guys remember that term?
Oh, how cute!
There was a guy named a desktop publisher. It was a non-designer who knew how to use Quark.
Oh.
Well, and that's why, all of these in-house design teams that got them some Quark and a Macintosh and 18 emigrant fonts, and people have been talking about the end of design since typesetting machines came along. I'm sure
Quark is old school like me.
Yeah, since
true. When the waxing machines went out, it was like, oh my God, it's the end of graphic arts.
What are good trends right now?
I think the big trend I see in design is people getting back to being designers. I mean, in WordPress, at least for me, the last 5 years have been about figuring out what I need to know to build really good sites. And a lot of what I figured out is I need to know a really good developer to build really good sites. And I want to get back to the business of just thinking about design instead of how I'm going to execute that design. Like, for me, that's my personal 2015 trend, is to start thinking about, like, the design again.
I like the trend of no sidebars and fewer things.
What's the trend?
Really? I love sidebars.
I used to be resistant when
United in the sidebar hate.
But once I got used to not having sidebars, I really like the clean, like the, you can do that with
I hate sidebars too.
But you know what? Here's the guy.
Your page always ends up unbalanced.
But here's the thing. Well, there's an awesome script for that. But there's a thing that is, it's about it's about the information that you're presenting. If you are presenting information that's, more blog-like, I mean, that's where the sidebar came from, is that kind of blog format where you have, your archives and your whatnot. So it's shifting to a more like story presented. Like, even blogs are becoming more like, here's this story. It's actually becoming more book-like in a way.
I use Parallax on my blog.
You have a blog?
I'm joking. I use Flash.
I feel like for a website, though, that's not primarily a blog, the sidebar turns into this junk drawer of stuff.
Totally.
It does. Yeah. It's good in the footer, I find.
I like
that's what she said. I was talking about sidebars, guys. Widgets. Widgetized areas in footers. See, I don't know what you're all laughing at.
Widgetized sidebars in the footers.
I may not give up my sidebars, but I do. I also like the trend. I have a site from a client that is like this old theme. It was like maybe 2008, 2009, and it's held up remarkably well. And I was just going back and kind of reanalyzing it, and honestly, the only thing layout-wise that looks dated is the font size, because that has really shifted. Font sizes have just like continually been getting better or bigger. Chris the Lemma, not this one, the Lemma one. He 2 years ago he was like 14 is the new 8 or 12 or 16 or 17. Yeah.
Totally.
He just wants one word per page, though. That's different.
What about you, Robert? What's a trend that you're seeing that you like?
I think, especially with like the more resources available for like web fonts and stuff, like you are seeing a lot of designers who are using typography in different ways that are really helping kind of shape things just to be differently and more interesting. And I am just really excited just now that like there are really so many different options for web fonts available, whereas before you're turning all that stuff either into like transparent PNGs or you're doing like a Swift file, you know, to say like, oh, do this instead. You know, I mean, so annoying back then, but everything else, I just feel like so many designers are now being able to take those typefaces and do really cool things with marketing and messaging.
+1 for typography.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now,
and I love the
a WordPress plugin for free. I will love you for
Good typography never gets old.
But bad typography ruins everything instantly. So
Absolutely.
Also that's a bad Google Fonts, you know, and Font Awesome and your face font and all that stuff, whatever. Like that is dangerous. Dangerous.
So Steve brings up the in our chat room here. He brings up his favorite thing, which is SVGs. And are any of you guys using SVGs?
I've been reading
I mean, that's a personal problem, maybe. Not bad.
I got
a lot of SVGs.
Okay.
Everyone answered at once. So is anyone using SVGs?
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
Jason, what's an SVG?
Yeah, Jason.
So an SVG isn't a raster based. It's actually a vector based. So it has.
Oh, that's boring.
No, it's not. Go.
You can change the color of an SVG CSS, right? That's like one of the awesome things.
I got delayed. I'm sorry.
It's alright, I was just mocking you like usual.
There's a new JavaScript library that's supposed to help with doing animations.
So wait,
SVG is an XML-based vector image format for two-dimensional graphics with support for interactivity and animation.
Well, that's what I was saying.
According to Wikipedia.
Right, I like. I really love designing dash icons. I know they're going to turn dash icons from a web front to using SVGs.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah. In like
I'm in love with
4.2.
Font Awesome a lot lately. I love Font Awesome.
Oh, me too. I love Font Awesome.
Yeah.
And it's an iconic, use iconic, all based on SVG. That's how they, that's how their entire thing works. It's iconic.com. Sorry, my multitasking, typing and talking is. But
yes, you're not supposed to do that.
It's all based off of SVG.
I don't even know what you just said now.
Neither does Chris.
Chris is like, wait, was that talking? Hold on.
We're all waiting for something inspiring, and Chris is off in La La Land.
Huh? I'm always off in La La Land.
No.
That's where all the good ideas live.
So, okay, other than fonts and SVG, what else is happening? Like, I'm actually...
The flat, we
I
haven't
wanna-
talked about flat design.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
That is like the biggest trend. Like everything used to have
Yosemite.
bells on it.
Yosemite,
remember
the whole
that?
Mac is flat.
Yeah, no, everything used to have beveled and drop shadows and just the bevels, just like the buttons being beveled, just grosses me out now. I'm so used to the font look, the flat.
But I bet in like 5 years we're all going to put drop shadows and bevels and everything again. It's really like, oh my god, it's amazing.
It goes back to that.
It'll be like outer glow on everything.
Right.
No outer glow.
Look, outer glow has never gone out of
And drop
style.
Outer
shadows.
glow is still 2007. We're going to Inner Glow now.
It's appropriate.
Yeah, the 80s were all about the outer glow. Now it's all about the inner glow, you know? It's like we're changing, we're evolving. I think the 70s were about the shadow, you know.
You know what, though? I was actually reading an article today about Joseph Mueller-Brockman and the Swiss style of graphic design and how, like, that was the style of graphic design for 20 years, was the whole Helvetica and grid-based design and all of that. And I just wonder if like Paul Rand and Joseph Mueller-Brockman and all of these guys, David Ogilvy, sat around and talked about trends in design, or if they just went out and made really good shit and worried about it.
All right, we're done with the show, guys. Sign off. None of this talking crap.
No, I wonder if like they were aware of the fact that they were, building those design trends. If it was something, that, because I know that
like the
20
Beatles,
years ago,
they just
David
did it, and it
Carson,
was
we had these
fabulous.
same conversations
have
about
podcasts
French
about
design.
And tweet all about it.
Steve, that counts low.
Hey, so is there anything that you guys see that's like, parallax is pretty dramatic. It's a pretty dramatic takeoff from where we were as far as like just, our general layouts and whatnot. Is there anything that you guys see on the horizon that's happening? I think maybe like animation is coming back with, CSS3 and HTML and stuff. And I think that...
Well, background
video too.
And video backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Like-
new life of everything.
Did anyone see the new Airbnb microsite that Human Made launched, I think, yesterday?
No.
Awesome
Not yet.
story that they hired. It was this great website. It was an awesome video that a woman took her dad. He had lived in West Berlin and left when the Berlin Wall fell. And she took him back to an Airbnb for the anniversary of the wall, or because he'd never really been able to completely leave that part of his life behind. And the host family that they stayed at was a guard who was on the other side of the wall, who was on the east side of the wall. And it was just this really amazing, it was a super simple site, but they had this like 30-second video, and it was one of the best like pure storytelling stories that I've seen on the web in a while.
And was that video like in the background, or was that just a?
It was actually a click play. It was a really beautiful still from the video. They hired someone to animate it. So it was just this really beautiful background image, some really gorgeous typography, and they kind of told you the story that they were going to tell you, enough of it to get you pulled into it.
Yeah, there was also that
really
that
super
I Touch Myself campaign, the breast cancer awareness. The woman who I know it sounds funny, but like the woman who
It's
wrote
appropriate
that
for the
song,
show.
and she died of breast cancer, and they did this amazing website with like full background video. Did a similar thing, told a story.
I really appreciate that, Tracy, because now I'm going to have I touch myself.
God, don't do that.
That is instantly it's in my head. Here, wait,
That's a big
another example of...
just a whole trend of storytelling in websites.
Wait, before we talk about ASOP and all that stuff...
about storytelling.
Wait, Chris, before we take that side note, I just wanted to point out the Kickstarter website uses, we didn't talk really about sliders, but sliders occupying, that main space or like the kind of concept of the hero image. Kickstarter has a really good example of the video or a looped video taking the place of a slider. So if you want to check that out, I think that's probably the direction of like background videos and main images. So if you guys want to check that one out, it's pretty interesting.
On the same tip, with really good use of background video, there's this woman named Allie Edwards, allieedwards.com, and I met her when I was a scrapbooker, and she's built this entire brand around a week in the life, where she helps people document a week in their life. And anyway, her new website makes a really effective use of background video too. She's done it really, really well.
I had a friend, and we'll get to your sliders thing in a second, but I had a friend who does web stuff, and he called me trying to get me to help him do the site, and he goes, so they want to do a background video on the top, kind of like the Kickstarter page, and then he goes, but they want to have an autoplay video on top of that first. So when you land there, there's an autoplay video, and then when that closes, there's a video underneath the video, and I'm like, video inception is what's happening here. And I basically told him I wasn't even going to talk to him about it. I was like, if you can't convince them not to do that, we're done.
An hour happens in 6 seconds, but the one behind it, never mind.
Where's my
I don't know. But what were you saying about sliders?
What's your problem with sliders?
Yeah, you only
What's the
click on
problem with
first-
sliders?
You only click on the first
That's why.
one, and that's it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is a lot of my clients come to me and say, we want a slider, and we've got 8 slides in there.
Yeah.
No one's going to sit through that and click through all that.
If you have a slider, 3 slides tops, and that third slide is rarely going to be seen. Second slide, maybe.
I
But
mean,
if you just look at web stats, most people are on a page for just a couple of seconds. So they don't have time.
Why would they sit there and click through that? Like, people think that it's like this thing that they're like, oh, they're going to sit here and click through my banner ads. Like, no one's going to do that
You
ever.
don't have to make decisions when you give them a slider.
Well,
Everyone, it's a way to be like, okay, here's your little corner of the turf,
Yes.
here's your little corner of the turf, and no one has to have those hard conversations
the belief,
about what the important thing to say really is.
Hard conversations are my
belief is by
favorite.
putting in a slider, we're picking up more real estate, right? We're
Right,
putting
it's like
more
a way
above
to
the
cram
fold.
more content onto the homepage.
Above
Yeah.
the fold.
It's
Yeah.
also
Well, if you don't
because
have
of
a
the lack
sidebar,
of.
I mean, where the hell are you supposed to put stuff? Come on.
Well, a lot of my clients
Sidebars and
fear.
sidebars.
A lot of my
But it's
clients fear
sidebar.
that their users aren't going to scroll. Is that true?
Yeah, people are very obsessed with above the fold and below the fold. I think something
think the
below
fold
the
doesn't
fold
exist.
would have more chance of being seen than something in the third or fourth slider.
So,
Slider.
I
That's
don't think
definitely
I
a
don't
thing
think it exists
people-
really anymore.
people
I don't
come
think
out with.
I think we're beyond the days of the fold. The fold.
Yeah, I
is-
think.
Yeah, I know. My clients are obsessed with
Yeah.
the fold. I'm like, there is no fold.
There's a fold. Wait, but here's the thing about that is when you talk to clients, they say, oh, it has to be above the fold, right? Because they heard that 2-5 years ago, whatever, and they're like, oh, you got to get there. And then you're like, when you get to a website, do you scroll down? And they're like, yes. And they're like, well, then so will everybody else. It's really not that complicated. You just click your finger or you click a button and it happens. Like, it's not like a really complicated action.
And I think that
Someone
above
needs
the
to do a
fold
user
is
testing
actually what
spoof
Chris
of
was
that,
saying.
where someone just goes to a website and they're like, the content I want is not there, but
I can't click. I can't scroll. What do I do?
There's a book I recommend to all my clients. A book called Mobile First Design, which forces you to think about priority and think about the smaller screen and what goes. Forget the fold for a second, but what goes on that first impression.
But honestly, that is so classic, marketing, classic messaging. All of this stuff comes back to that. It's like we distance design and we distance website stuff from the general principles of basic marketing and messaging. It's like, yeah, you have to put your most important thing up first. And if you bury a message, someone's not going to see it. Like, yes, if you're going to have a block of text, you should probably draw attention to it with some sort of headline. It's not freaking revolutionary. It's just that everyone got all freaked out by the fact that it's digital and you can do whatever you want, and all principles of basic, eye-brain coordination went out the window somewhere. I don't know. Somewhere around GeoCities land is where that happened, I think.
Eye-brain coordination?
I blame the digital guy on GeoCities.
Eye-brain coordination.
I blame the blink tag.
Don't talk smack on the blink tag, okay? It draws attention to a lot of really minute stuff.
Does it even work anymore?
Yes, it
You could do it with CSS3, yeah.
You can just do blink inline on
That's the biggest
stuff.
hot trend for 2015. Blink tag coming
the blink
back.
tag
You
and
heard about it? Wait, no, but really, let's bring it back.
I say pixel art, blink tags, and marquee tags. Those are the 3 hot
Yes.
trends for
Then
2015.
wait,
Mouse trailers.
Wait, hold on. While you're actually
Snowing on websites at Christmas.
You might be being sarcastic about the pixel art, but given the rise of Minecraft and the kids these days, that's actually happening. There is
I
a
wish it
pixel-based
would.
art
I miss
movement
pixel
happening.
art. Remember
It's a real
Kid
thing.
10K?
The kids these days.
Oh, kids these days, exactly.
Okay.
Well, with that
I mean-
said, let's close up. Let's close up,
big
guys.
graphic.
Oh my God, did we really just talk about that stuff for half an hour?
Yeah, we did.
I'm always amazed that we do that. It blows my mind.
Oh, we can bullshit with the best of them.
I touch myself.
All right, guys, so here-
to remind me.
Make sure you go to the website at WPwatercooler.com.
Horrible.
Check it out there. Link say. And so we can go to the website.
About time.
You can also follow us on SoundCloud, and you can also follow us on YouTube. So click on the links, click on the likes, click on the subscribes. Thank you guys. See you later.
Enjoy your earworm. Love you.